Hello everybody and welcome to the TSRC GT3 Series second round here from the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. We've come over to the Eiffel Mountains for the second round after the first round indeed in South Africa at the Kyalami circuit, where it was Jamie Nutto who took the victory on that occasion in the Honda, and he'll be looking to repeat that here tonight. My name's Jim Hillary. I'm with myself for this race here tonight. 1 hour 15 as usual with what we saw in the first round to get this second race of this season and indeed of this championship here underway. It's the TSRC GT3 Series, visiting 6 different circuits all over the world. A great calendar that we have lined up and a great field we have assembled as well. 16 drivers, split between pros and AMs, with 6 AMs and 10 pros on this occasion. And we're ready to go racing. 15 minutes worth of qualifying here first of all, and then we'll get into the 1 hour 15 minute race a little bit earlier on. We're currently looking at Mattia Bruniera at the moment, who's so unlucky 1 week ago at Kyalami, was leading the race past the halfway mark and past the exit of the pit stop window as well, which comes in the middle of the race. But unfortunately for him, it all fell apart a little bit with some connection problems. He ended up DNFing from that race and scoring absolutely no points at all. See if he can maybe avenge that with victory here tonight in this race. He'll certainly be the first driver to go across the line and start his qualifying lap here, as we're about to see in the Audi. 1 of 4 we have on the grid here. Nearly all of the drivers make their way out of the pit lane for the first time and get this qualifying session underway. Big welcome to everybody just tuning into the stream right now, and if you would like to pop a message in the Twitch chat, then you're very much welcome to. We'll hopefully get a bit of a discussion going on maybe as well if you like. But yeah, it's good to have you along for the race here this evening. And, we'll see how it goes compared to the Kyalami race 1 week ago. First of 2 European races here tonight at the Nürburgring. We'll be visiting North America, the only race in that region next. And then it will be Zolder, Bathurst and Suzuka to round off the season, visiting 5 of the continents of the world. More of a world championship than F1 is these days, but there we are. Less said about that, the better. Nice, well-rounded calendar here, and we even have a couple of sprint races to deal with as well at round 4, which should be a bit of fun at Zolder. Zach Sweeney will be back for that one, you'll be pleased to know. This is the car of the race winner from 1 week ago. It was Jamie Nutto who took the win in the end. On the line, only 4.5 seconds to Jack Young, who was second. Then it was Jeroen Merman in that third place, and I believe all 3 of them are returning, although actually saying that I can't see Merman at the moment. I did see Jack Young earlier, but can no longer see him on that order for whatever reason. Don't quite know why, but yeah, unfortunate for him. We certainly do have the returning race winner though, and we're very glad about that. Here he is coming through the final chicane at the moment and towards the final corner right now. Complete and maybe set a benchmark here. It's going to be Bruniera first to complete a flying lap, but are any of these really counting? Yes, they are. Bruniera does a 54.8. Excuse me, does a 55.1. Nutto not quite as strong as that. However, we have seen a good time from Derek Sun there in the 5th position last week, but on the provisional pole just for the moment as Guillaume Hamling makes his way down towards turn 1 and across the line for 5th position for him. That's a high 55, just over a second away from his best lap time in that, the session best in that lap. A number of decent times on the board from these pro drivers in the AMs. It's Van Vingeren at the moment who has got the provisional pole by 0.3 of a second ahead of Crimson, and then Samuel Lombards in that 3rd place. We are yet to see though the race winner from Kyalami, Scott Ticehurst, actually take on a lap time just yet, so we'll wait for him to really get underway in this qualifying session. Obviously casting judgment on him. This is Oscar Saristo and the order at the moment, but hasn't set a lap time. One of only 2 drivers to have not set a lap time just yet. Session, 8th place 1 week ago in the Aston Martin. Got him 13 points for his trouble. Of course, a little way off already from Nuttall, who has 31. The race win and the fastest lap to go with it as well. Which you do get a point for in this championship. Aristo making his way through 11 and 12. Very important to get a good exit off of here, because it is quite a long run down towards the chicane, and it is a nice flowing chicane as well. It's the faster version we're using here tonight, rather than the slower version of the Vidal chicane. Although Aristo taking things relatively easy through there on this occasion. He makes his way into the final corner. Not to tell whether he's really going 100% at the moment. I don't think he is. But he is solidly pushing on at the moment, and it is enough for a top 5. A 55.6 is where that gets him, but he's nearly half a second away from 4th place, so he will need a bit more of an improvement. Oh, everybody with a lap time on the board. Gardner Mav with the 8 car really a little bit out of position, behind a few of these AM drivers in this qualifying session so far. Just going to try and get that track position, because we don't separate the pros and the AMs when we get started for the race. They all drive out together, and you'll find yourself back in the pack and back in traffic if you're not careful. That was an improvement for Mav, but it is not an improvement of position. He goes a bit quicker, but he's not able to climb the order any further here in this session. This is the current AM pole sitter in the Nissan. Nice livery, I have to say, and a very nice car. Big fan of the Nissan, but who isn't at the end of the day? Riding on board now, we really do get an idea now as to just how to tackle this Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Able to use a bit of AstroTurf and a bit of tarmac on the right hand side here to open out turn 11. Choosing to go over that right hand side curb, but definitely make sure you get back to the left here for the best possible exit through turn 12, which we've already talked about. Hard to extend really through that corner in terms of track limits, because you've of course got the gravel on the outside there. Get yourself the best run possible through this straight with a bit of a kick in it for the final chicane. You want to get as close to those curbs as possible, but don't smash over them, because they are fairly severe. Then into the final corner to maybe grab a late apex and a good run onto the front straight. Going to be particularly important in the race in terms of making overtakes or indeed stopping them in that late apex. And Van Vingerden there is going to do a little bit more to extend that lead in this qualifying session for the moment. He's got half a second over Ticehurst, which is a very nice little advantage. And here is the Audi of Scott Ticehurst now, trying to improve on that. It's a tall order. There's such a big gap in front. Very difficult to close in really. Into the final chicane. Misses the apex slightly of the first part there, and will clobber over the second part. So will lose that out on a little bit of time, but shouldn't hurt him too badly. Towards the line. This Tyson's going to improve. He does go ever so slightly quicker. It's not really any closer to Van Vingerden here on this lap. He is still 4 tenths away. It's just in behind. Schmoggy getting himself towards 11 and 12. The best performing Mercedes at the moment. Interestingly, marking 7 different cars in the top 7. 7 different manufacturers represented inside the top 7. As ACC gets older, the BOP seems to just get stronger, and seems to me anyway to get that little bit better with every update. It is very good to see all of these drivers so close and such variety on this grid as well, which is somewhat rare to see in sim racing really. Waggy comes out of the final corner then now and over the line. It is an improvement for him. A couple of attempts, I think. And it does get him ever closer to Sarasto, but he doesn't get that all-important at 6th place just yet. And there is Sarasto. It's Speaking of which, and he just improves his lap time himself and pushes himself a little bit further away from Schmoggy there. Not too many improvements now coming in. We are seeing a few further down the order. This is Matt Acton making his way and possibly getting held up here by Werter, maybe, in that Bentley. Just out in front. That's not ideal at all. He's losing out on a few hundreds here or there. Not going to be pleased about that, is Acton, but stays calm and comes over the line anyway. Doesn't improve on position, but will just go ever so slightly quicker. Now this isn't a good improvement from TSRC. He's going to be very close with Van Vingeren. With only 4 minutes to go, he's running out of time to get ahead of his AM rival, and I don't think he's going to just about here. 7/100ths of a second in the end between him and pole position. I'm afraid he is just the wrong side of it, and that might well be the end of his session. Scott TSRC not able to start off this with or start out this defence of his championship lead with another pole position here today. As Derrickson is coming into the final couple of corners right now as well. He needs about 8/100ths of a second. It's not a lot to overhaul Jamie Nuttall here, but he's not improving on this lap time, I don't think, unless he's really setting himself up, which he is. It's the last chance now for the Porsche to vault itself onto the inside of the front row, or even maybe push itself short of having that front row at all, because Bruniera is not too far away in this race at the moment, in this qualifying session at the moment, I should say. Samuel Chomandele makes his way towards the end of the lap as well. One of those ever so slightly improving. We are seeing quite an improvement here at the moment as well from Daniel Crinzen, second place in the AM race last week. Looking like he might be half a second up here, which is going to get him right into the mix with Van Vingeren and with TSRC as well. As Chomandele gets his way over the line at the moment, he does not improve, but he's really close to doing so, and will have another chance to do it as well. There's Crinzen out there at the moment. Max Acton just gets up in front of him at the moment, actually. But Crinzen, who didn't improve, end up improving on that lap, I don't think. Shame for him, but he'll have to settle for 12th place, quite possibly. Don't be able to go any quicker. Well, he's already half a second down here on this lap time. Just racing to get back to the line in time here before the time elapses. Not a lot of improvements coming in for many of these drivers now. You can see 4 of the bottom 6 all in the pit lane at the moment. Oh, the map is going quite a lot quicker, but does need a second's worth of an improvement to be able to climb the order. And once again, we've got Werter out in front of one of these cars. There will be stewarding after these races, so anything that maybe it does infringe others may well get a penalty for it. We'll hold guard and wait and see on that one. To the Schumacher S, looking to really maximise the entry to that corner, getting all over the curb and through that section of corners now. Still slightly improving, but not quite as improving as much as some inside the top 5. Jamie Nuttall, after that first lap where he really went straight to the top, is not improving again, even in the final seconds of qualifying here. Not really able to get near his best. We go on board with Derrickson though, because this could be a very important lap for the pole. Just under just under a 10th of a second going quicker at the moment, and it does look like Jamie Nuttall is starting a new lap as well behind Sun, and so may well just improve as well. This is going to be a very, very frantic ending to this qualifying session, with the front few drivers really improving, but it's mainly the front 2 that we need to be focusing on here, like we are on board with Derrickson right now, watching him towards 11 and 12, maximising the entry there, almost getting into the grass on the right hand side, using all of the curb on the right as well before snapping back to the left and getting an exit onto the back straight, although he's just missed the apex. into the turn 12 there, so it's not going to be ideal. We'll see if it's still going to be enough. Into the final chicane he comes, and he's not improving right now. He does need a heroic final 3 corners if he can manage it here in the Porsche. Final corner for him now. Is he going to be able to just grab pole position here in the final moments? I don't think he is. If anything, it's going to be a slight improvement, but maybe not even that. He misses out. He's 8 thousandths of a second down in his previous best, and so Jamie Nuttall might not even need to improve here. All of the top 4, apart from him, are in the pit lane. We're seeing 5th place Charmandele improving it right now as well. However, he's too far away, surely. Jamie Nuttall about to put this one beyond doubt by the looks of things. Out of the final corner in the Honda. He comes over the line, and it's going to be pole position at the Nürburgring for him. It's a 54.6 from the championship leader, the race winner from Kyalami. And it's going to be pole position there for Jamie Nuttall. Charmandele is improving right now. And may climb a place, although goes wide through the final corner and throws away all the improvement. And so will stay rooted to 5th place in the end. Steers straight into the wall in frustration. The final drivers to come across the line. Gardner Mav is going to climb the order a little bit here. Could even get inside the top 10 with this lap. And it is 10th place for Mav, although it's very close. With the likes of Van Vingeren and TSRC as well. But here are your qualifying results. It's Jamie Nuttall with a pole position there, as he did at Kyalami as well. He'll be able to convert that into a race lead through turn 1 though. Quarter of a second between him and Sun there, with Bruniera in that 3rd place. So 1 position down on last week for him. Guillaume Hamling is 4th ahead of Charmandele. It's Oscar Saristo. Smoggy 7th place. Millington, Van Vingeren and Mav top 10. And championship leader in the AMS, TSRC in 11th. Max Acton is 12th ahead of Daniel Crimson. Samuel Lombards, I should say, in the 14th place ahead of Kuhn, and also Werter to round out your 16-car grid here for tonight's race. So an interesting qualifying session. And it's going to be very interesting to see just what goes on during this race as well. Because we had a very interesting race at Kyalami, of course. We saw that despite getting that pole position, Jamie Nuttall was not able to hold the lead very well into turn 1 there at all. It did struggle that little bit, and had his work cut out to beat Mattia Bruniera on that day, but in the end he did. Bruniera, of course, ran into some bad luck and scored 0 points, which is really going to hurt him. It's not a long championship, and so can't afford to have things like that happen, unfortunately. But it did for the Audi driver, I'm afraid. He's going to have to recover with some race wins. Luckily for him, the gap between 1st and 2nd in terms of points scored is 6 points, which is quite drastic. And so he might be able to do it with some good results. Of course, this is true for all of the races, all of the positions, or the points will stay the same, other than for round 4 at Zolder, where we have 2 25-minute races instead here for this. So that should be very interesting to see how that pans out. A very different one as well, but Jamie Nuttall is going to lead the field away for this formation lap. Just to explain the format, in case you've not been with us for last week's race, it's a 1 hour 15 race, so we'll have to make a pit stop. There will be a mandatory pit time of 25 seconds that you have to spend to taking on the required fuel to get you to the end of the race. And indeed, if you want that little bit of pace towards the end of the race, then that takes some tyres as well. Let's do an extra 5 seconds. However, the option's there. I don't know if the consensus was to take them or not last week. Didn't seem to have a major bearing on the overall outcome of the race, because, as I mentioned, Bruniera's bad luck seemed to have more of a bearing on it than anything else. For the most part, really. It'll be interesting to see how it develops now as people start to learn what the best strategy is. Because normally in a race of this distance, you wouldn't dream of taking tyres if the rules weren't put in place. But that's why they have been, and that's why the organisers have made it only a 5-second payoff for the tyres, so that it is maybe an option, something that you might think about if you are one of these drivers. And I personally think it's a very good call, actually. Just adds that extra layer to the race. So Jamie Nuttall leading the field around at the moment in the Honda. And we've got Porsche, Audi, Ferrari, BMW, Aston Martin, Mercedes inside the top 7. And a further Nissan in the top 10. So 8 different manufacturers in the top 10. 7 in 7. It's a really great variety that, as I said earlier, really you don't see very often in sim racing. You often see the best car being picked by almost everybody, and GT3 racing on some platforms anyway can become one-make racing sometimes. But on ACC particularly, it's not really been a major problem, historically anyway. It's certainly not in the TSRC GT3 series. It's not a problem. Got great variety. We'll see if Honda can take their second win of the season, or whether it's going to be a different manufacturer taking the top step today. Drivers will be thinking about forming up in a 2x2 formation very soon, of course. Some of them already are thinking about that. Taking a little while. I'm not sure when they're going to be instructed to do so, whether it's before or after the chicane. It looks like right about now. This is the point where we all get very glad they all go through each other at this stage of the race, because it does get a bit scary from time to time. See now the field being slowed right down by Jamie Nuttall. You're being asked to really punch up, and we're going to get the spectacular photo opportunity to start off this race. It's up to Nuttall now to control the field as he comes around at the final corner. We're about to go racing here for the second time in the TSRC GT3 series. It's the second ever race, and Jamie Nuttall is on pole for it once again. We're about to go racing in the Alpha Mountains, the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. About to play host to round 2 of this series. The lights on right now, and Jamie Nuttall now goes as the green flags wave. It's a very nice stop from Derrickson on the outside line, though. Great reactions from the driver in second place there to challenge the Honda into turn number 1. We've seen Bruniera looking up the inside in there as well, but it's just too tight of a line. They go through all nicely by the looks of things. Bruniera's got on the inside of Son now as well. He's looking to the outside for turn 2, but he slots into line, choosing to maybe play things a bit more calmly here at the opening of this race, rather than go all out for the moment. Down the inside at the moment for Guillaume Hamling as he tries to hold on to some places right now. He's really under fire though from Smoggy in the Mercedes. He drops down to 6th place from a start of 4th. It's not been a great start for the Ferrari driver, I'm afraid. He's going to drop down outside the top 5 immediately. Maybe a little bit too cautious on that occasion for him. Millington and also Soristo on the outside. Soristo on the inside line there in the Aston Martin. Might see Mav get involved as well, flashing the lights and maybe having a look here, but he's going to decide to just stay behind for now through the Dunlop hairpin. And Soristo is going to hold on to that place and get into 7th ahead of Josh Millington. So it's a nice start from all of these drivers. Everybody's gotten away cleanly. Everybody is running without issue. That's exactly what you want to see from an opening lap of a race. This is the AM battle. And I'm afraid to say that Quinten van Vingerden has been displaced. And he might be displaced further with Daniel Crinton on the inside line now. Through the kink at turn 13. There's not a lot of space, especially with that Nissan on your outside. Who's going to give up the position first? Well, it looks like it's going to be Van Vingerden. Doesn't really want to fight it, although he's going to go for the cutback. Expertly done into the final corner. And he makes his way back into 2nd in the AMs. A very nice pass in the end there. Thought for sure that he would lose out massively, actually, to Crinton in that little fight there. But turns out he really made the most of it. So is he Acton now? Matt Acton just trying to get through at the moment. Had a little look on the inside of the Lamborghini there. for 12th place. Decided not to go for it. Probably the best idea at this end of the race, if we're being honest. It's not one of those circuits where you can easily overtake though, and so positions in the opening moments here are going to be very important. Proving to be so as well so far. You can see by the urgency with which some of these drivers have been able to make up places, by some of the desperation some of these drivers falling down through the field have clung onto them, like Van Vingeren we just saw there. Back up front now to the pro leaders. This is Samuel Cholmondeley. There's a yellow flag out there as well. Now who's that for? Oh, it's for Kuhn by the looks of things. And Wolfgang Kuhn has gone off the road through turn 6 and 7. I think it was turn 6 rather than into 7, the forward curve. But that's our first spin of the day, I'm afraid. And it's unfortunately dropped him down to last running car. Last indeed overall hit in this race now. Real shame for him. We look at Samuel Cholmondeley really applying that pressure to Mattia Brugnera, who doesn't seem to have quite the same pace that we saw from him in the first race at Kyalami. He took the lead through that one and led for the first half of the race. Wasn't able to convert, as we know, but gave it a very good go. Cholmondeley wanting to try and make his way through. 6th place 1 week ago for the BMW driver, and he's going to try and better that here today with a podium maybe. Outside line into turn 1. Late enough on the brakes, well, not quite, and he's going to have to stay behind it of that Audi. Beginning to wonder, by the way, as we dive deeper into this, whether is the Audi just ever so slightly holding back Brugnera in this race, or whether Audi was particularly strong at Kyalami. The best performing Audi was Josh Millington in 4th place last week at Kyalami. He was 16 seconds off the win by the end. Brugnera may well have gone on to win had he not had those issues. On this occasion, Millington struggling a little bit more, so is Brugnera, and so is Scott Ticehurst as well in the AM category. Didn't take pole, and really in the end, really ran away with the AM victory 1 week ago. Finished, it was the only car to finish on the lead lap actually of the AMs. That's how far ahead he was of the rest. So, yeah, it's difficult to really know if there is anything in that, whether the Audi is weaker or whether it is just a coincidence. It could well be either. There's no doubt about Cholmondeley's ideas heading towards this race though. He wants to take that 3rd place away from Mattia Brugnera, who does have the fastest lap at the moment, which does indeed get you a point in your respective category. To wait until the fuel gets a bit lower later on though to really see when that where that point is going to go. That all important point, of course. The slipstream of the Audi again, but he's not as close as he was 1 lap ago, and he'll stay behind. I imagine so. The Mercedes arena, starting to go the whole way around it, of course. I actually believe if it is an option, or I don't know if it is an option in ACC to actually miss this arena out, but I do know it's really disliked by some people. Not a particular driver favourite, always. However, it's it's very good for rating actually. Do see very good rating around there. At the moment, Jimmy Nuttall is not having to involve himself with any of it because he's running away. 1.8 seconds to Derek Son at the moment. Brugnera and Cholmondeley just in another group behind. Then we've got Smoggy Hamling, Sarasto, I should say, and Millington in the next little group. Well, they're getting quite distant from each other right now as well. Here's Guillaume Hamling. Judging by that flag there from Luxembourg in the Ferrari at the moment. Just trying to get through on the German out in front. Making his way out of turn 12. We're starting to see this race settle down. We're starting to see where this Nürburgring circuit really does give these guys a chance to overtake, and that is, of course, in very few places around this circuit. It's not a fantastic circuit for overtaking in GT3 cars, and generally, GT3s are quite relatively difficult to overtake in anyway. Circuit not helping that fact right now. Anything's worse, arguably. Especially with the faster chicane here as well, that is run in real life, of course, in the GT3s. Whenever they go here, always use the faster chicane. Does make for a more enjoyable driving experience, but I'm not sure what it adds to the racing spectacle. Well, then again, the slower chicane can be frustrating to watch from time to time as well, so who knows. What Hamling is doing here is just allowing Assetto to get into this fight, and that's going to put the Ferrari driver in a difficult situation here. Looking forwards and behind at the same time as he uses all of the entry AstroTurf and tarmac to the right hand side of turn 6. Opening out the entry to that corner as much as possible to do the same to the forward curve turn 7. Get the run down towards here, the very bottom of the circuit. The start line all the way down to this point, you are just descending ever so gradually. I say gradually, it's not unsteep, but either way. Then they climb up the hill again towards the Schumacher S and get back towards the region of the start-finish line again. Bruniera just finding his feet in this race ever so slightly. Doing a little bit better than he was in the opening moments, maybe. He was really coming under pressure from the 111 BMW just in behind immediately, but now that's all turning around, and Jackson is all of a sudden the focus of this battle. Oh, it's off the road for Bruniera. He clips that curve at the second part of the chicane way too hard. He spins, half spins across the grass, and he'll lose a place there to the Mercedes, so he drops down to 5th place, but Bruniera just demonstrating for us 10 minutes into this one just how dangerous those curves could be. You want to avoid them at all costs, really, and that's exactly why the Italian drops to 5th, Woggy up to 4th, and now this is really a very interesting fight because, as I said, Bruniera was starting to find his feet in the race. Now, will this knock him back, knock his confidence a bit? Will it take him time to get back on his feet here, or will he be able to just press on immediately? Well, on first viewing, it looks like he's just pressing on with this. Well, Hamling is not exactly giving him an easy time of things. Just see the Ferrari from this shot right now, looking back from the Mercedes. Oh, it's so close between those two. Those 4, you could say. Assetto also here in the Aston Martin. Down to the Dunlop hairpin, it's a slightly show of the nose there, a slight show of the nose I should say, from Guillaume Hamling in 6th place. There's no real threat to get through on Bruniera though. To 11 and 12. And this is going to get very difficult now for everybody involved within the group. First or last, it's quite obvious as to what they're going to do. When you're in the middle, you do have to have your head on a swivel a bit. That doesn't lead to the fastest lap times. It's being demonstrated right now. Last lap for... Well, it's hard to be too harsh at the moment on those guys. There's the inside for Daniel Crimson here. Into the chicane. And through he goes. So Scott Ticehurst has been displaced, and we've got a new AM leader here in the form of Daniel Crimson. Very nice pass. As we've got all sorts of battling going on here. Smoggy outside line. Bruniera on the inside line, and he's been able to make his way through back to 4th. And Hamling wants to get through as well. Oh, he's forced out onto the AstroTurf, and he won't be pleased about that. Has to brake a bit early as well into the 3rd corner. Smoggy seems to be a little bit the cork in the bottle now. I don't think it's just because Bruniera got dropped into the group and they all started fighting. I think Smoggy just struggling out there with pace. Runs a little bit wide through 6. Hamlin was forced to look to the outside through the 4 curve, which is never a great idea. Doesn't often come off anyway. So he'll wait. He'll wait a bit further. Yeah, it did wait just a little bit, but in the end didn't have to do too much. Got his way through on Smoggy there, and will continue to drive away now. 3 seconds up to Chol Mondeleu, who he was fighting with just before all that. Two groups we were just looking at there, the one involving Crinton and TSRC, and then this one we're currently watching right now, where the two battles really going on in terms of the 2 groups of cars that are going around at the moment. That was over the curve for Assetto. Looking to get away with it, considering what happened to Bruniera, although that could be a trait of the Audi as well, really. Lack of ability to go over the curbs. Fit in, really. Oh, Smoggy's so late on the brakes there into turn 1, and too late, really. Oh, there's been all sorts going on here. So Assetto and Mullington have both been slowed dramatically, and this allowed Mav to get involved. How did the rest of them all fit into that? I think it could have just been between those two that incident happened. Mav now splits the difference between them. Going to have his eyes forwards and backwards at the moment, as well as we approach the 1 hour mark in terms of minutes remaining here in this race. 1/5 already complete, very nearly. Princeton is closing in on these guys as well. That's the AM leader. He's bringing with him TSRC and Acton as well. Vingegaard won't be too far away either. One big group really now, as opposed to what we saw earlier, which was a bit different. We saw 2 groups, one battling for 4th and one battling for 10th. Now those 2 have kind of converged with 3 getting away. It's now all one big battle for 7th place, really, more than anything. It looks to be going that way at the moment. Although Assetto able to get himself away, and you can just see the way the Aston and BMW able to deal with those curves ever so slightly better there in the final chicane. It's a nice exit there from Millingen though, and so he should be able to make his way through now in the Audi. We've seen incidents and things go wrong down here towards turn 1. Let's hope we don't see a repeat of that. Down the inside goes Josh Millingen, and he's surely through, although Mav is going to try and come back at him. Not really able to, and there was only ever going to be one winner in that battle, really. It's pretty obvious from pretty far out that Josh Millingen will be in 8th place at the end of that. They make their way out the Mercedes arena. A section of corners, of course, that hasn't seen too much battling just yet, but expecting that to change throughout the day. Going to see it all over the place, really, with regards to battles through there. No real battles inside the top 5, but just outside of it. 4th, 5th place, there is one. Neil Hamlin still applying that pressure to the Mercedes just up in front in this fight for 5th place. We get the pit stop window that I forgot to mention earlier on. Opens in 13 minutes time with 45 to go. Then we'll close with half an hour to go. Sort of straddles the 7.5 minutes either side of the halfway mark in this race. It's a good place to put it, really. Also helps as well with bringing in those tyres into play, because if If we had all the same rules but no pit stop window, then people will be even less encouraged to take on tyres, which we definitely don't need. Pretty discouraged to do it anyway, I think. We do, by the way, have our first retirement of the day. Wolfgang Kuhn has unfortunately already departed here for this evening, so that's a big shame for him. Still running here at the moment. Acton finding himself in a place where he really doesn't want to be here. So not going to be too willing to let him through, really. So they'll slow everything down. But then again, he'll want to get through because he'll feel like he's being slowed down now, and he dives it through turn 3. It was aggressive. He actually missed the apex there, you can see it. He does displace TSRC, and now Van Bingeren might have a chance to gain that second place in Am that he will feel he unduly lost earlier. Because it was a fair and square passing manoeuvre from TSRC, but that doesn't mean that Nissan's not going to want it back as Josh Millingen's off the road. What has happened here to the Audi of Millingen, we're not sure. Well, for what is now 10th overall, continues. Millingen on the side of the road. And dropping down the Audi. He's back to the pit lane now as well. Don't know what happened to him. So he was roughly on his own. Just passed a couple of cars, of course, but he wasn't too far away. He wasn't too far away from them, but enough, I would have said. I would have said this might have been an incident on his own, unfortunately. It's a shame that he's had an incident at all, really, but yeah. Even so. Just outside the top 10 now for Scott TSRC. Oh, there's a big slide there from Acton, and now TSRC has got no choice but to fight again here, and he really doesn't want to do this. A big squeeze, a bit of a rub between the two, and Van Bingeren now is going to have the best exit of the three of them, and possibly make this 3 wide if they're not careful. Certainly on the inside of Acton there in the Aston Martin, and he doesn't want to give up that place really in the Aston, and defensive line from the Audi of TSRC as well. Nearly make contact, those two. Aston still on the inside into turn 2, and he's really going to dive for the apex there and grab it with both arms. And have the same at turn 3. That takes a more slightly arcing, sensible line on the way in. Will hold on to 11th place, but this is only hurting Van Bingeren. Able to make his way through there, Van Bingeren, and that is pretty damaging for him because you can see TSRC getting away and up the road now. A fight and unsuccessful pass is two things that are two things that he really didn't need there. Very close between Crimson and Mav now, and sensibly you're getting out the way of Daniel Crimson, who just seemed to be a bit quicker than the Lamborghini at this stage. He did overshoot 11 there, but just pulled it up in time, and he's up to 8th. He's got that little bit of a buffer between himself and Scott TSRC, and that's going to be very, very important. I'm afraid to say, well, I'm glad to say that Wolfgang Kuhn is now back in the race. However, I am disappointed to say that Josh Millingen is now at what I do believe is the first retirement. Didn't realise that the 555 was going to return, but he has done. And Millingen, unfortunately, may well not be. Millington, I should say, may well not be in this one. Let's hope so, but it's looking doubtful for the moment. Number of two-car battles happening. This is one of them. Further up the order, Schwoggy trying to hold off Guillaume Hamling. It's not quite as close as this one. And neither is the battle between Acton and Van Bingeren we were watching earlier. It's by far the closest battle. Mentioned earlier that Crimson did himself a big favour by getting through on Mav there, but it may become a bit of a curse. If Mav just gets that little bit too close and starts applying that little bit too much pressure to the back of the Lamborghini, there could be trouble. Of course, in terms of time loss more than anything. Scott TSRC bears down on the both of them. Well, that's that. What were the lap times? It was a 56.7 for TSRC, which is a good 8 tenths quicker than Daniel Crimson. And 1.3 quicker than Mav, for what it's worth. And finally, as we've been looking at this, Crimson has been able to just edge away slightly. This is exactly what he needed. So we go back to the battle for 5th. Meanwhile, by the way, you can see in the top right-hand side of your screen that we're not expecting weather here today. There was rumours of it, as there is for every race. It is, of course, a variable weather session. But for the moment, staying dry, and it looks like it will do for the majority of the race, for the vast majority, actually. So we'll have to wait on to round 3, maybe in Watkins Glen, for maybe some rain, if indeed it comes. But it's particularly rainy, it will be here. You never know what's going to happen. Excuse me, you never know what's going to happen on the day. Hamlin very close behind Schmoggy at the moment. 50 minutes to go, just 5 minutes before the pit stop window. With all these drivers stuck in positions, meaning that overcuts, undercuts, all of these are going to be very important to the outcome of this race. As mentioned, it's hard to overtake, so well, you can't save any time in terms of pit stops because everybody has to take 25 seconds. It's not much science to that. You can save a bit of time by getting a bit of an undercut or overcut on your arrival, of course. Which may be what one of these drivers wants to attempt to do right now. Not right now, but in 5 minutes' time, when we open the pit lane. Bouncing over those curves. The final chicane here, Guillaume Hamlin looking to recover to 4th place or better here, because that's where he started this race from, 4th place. One of the drivers, it was one of the drivers to take a top 10 last week. It was a 9th place. Couldn't quite get down the inside there into turn 1 though, and that's been the story of his race so far. Nearly half an hour in now, and he's done that a fair few times at this point. Struggling to make his way through on the Mercedes. Interesting, with those onboard shots there, you really do get an idea of just how these cars are behaving and just which is quicker down the straights, and how that is affecting the fight at the moment. Always very telling, those shots. Done up hairpin, another half chance, but I mean, you only need one glance at the gap there to know that it was never really going to work out. He needs the pit stop window to open quickly here, just Guillaume Hamlin. Luckily for him, the stop will be fairly long, and so he'll drop behind most of the AM drivers. Most of the drivers further down as Hamlin's off. Oh, into the wall big time as well. Just got really out of shape through the Schumacher S, and he's gone into the wall big time. So Aristo goes straight through, and in pushing to try and get that 5th place, the Ferrari goes off in a big way, and look at the suspension damage here. Hamlin is having to steer nearly, well, over 45 degrees to the right hand side to go in a straight line. This Ferrari is heavily damaged now, and it's going to need an early pit stop outside of the pit stop window. Such a shame for Guillaume Hamlin. Through the final corners, and he comes in for repairs. he could well be down the order in 9th place in the pros and last by the end, and looks like he may well end up finishing exactly where he was 1 week ago on this occasion, with a much less encouraging result. What a shame for Guillaume Hamlin. He comes down pit lane now. It's just so difficult, the Schumacher S. So easy to make a mistake. And unlike some of the other circuits on the calendar this season, like we saw with Kyle Army last week, maybe to a lesser extent there is little room for error around here. Grass and gravel lining circuit pretty much everywhere other than the Mercedes arena, which is a great thing, because it does mean these drivers are kept on their toes, very much so. That's unfortunately what Guillaume Hamlin has just found out to his expense. He has now lost places to all of the pro drivers in the field, and it won't matter how many places in the Anfield he loses from here on in, because they don't count for points at all, or the finishing order indeed. They're separated out at the end. So it's going to be a pretty miserable final 45 minutes for him if Hamlin does indeed continue to the conclusion, which he probably will do, because you would get a nice slice of 14 points for that, I should say. Nice maths. But yes, he probably will soldier on for those points at this stage, but we'll see if he does. Gardner Mav in, sandwiched in between first and second place in the AM category. Daniel Crimson and Scott Ticehurst, the two drivers battling with each other at the moment, although it's difficult to call it a battle with the gap they have at the moment. Also to Quinten van Vingerden down in third, and there is Guillaume Hamlin coming out of the pit lane. He's 1 lap down. He's over a minute down on Sammy Lamberts in the next position. It's going to be a long and pretty miserable recovery for Hamlin here today. Vingerden's next driver on the list is going to be Acton by the looks of things. Again, pro car, so it won't matter too much as got the pit window open. 15 minutes for you to come in and make your 25-second stop to get that little bit more fuel in the car and get yourself on your way towards the end. If you want as well, take tyres. Make yourself a bit quicker towards the end of this race. Damien Nutter not expected to come in for a little while yet. When you're out the lead like this, when you're out in the lead like this, I should say, when you've got a lot of clean air just up in front, it's a pretty easy decision as to whether to stay out or not. Stay out, make use of the clean air, extend your advantage and push it home. He'll be able to complete another 7 laps before he has to come in as well, so he's absolutely laughing now. As Lombards becomes the first driver to come in the pit window. Mathieu Brunara back on the back of the BMW with Charman delay. This was happening a lot the opposite way round earlier on in the race, but roles have been reversed now. Brunara is right there. So close to the back of the BMW in front. Just wanting to find a way through really, but struggling to do so. May well just wait. Isn't that the story of the race so far though? It's really just been a case of waiting just for now. Out of the hairpin. Still 43 minutes to go for Brunera to recover here a little bit. At the moment this situation is a dream really for Jamie Nuttall. Another race where he's clear out front again, taking home the full 31 points if the race were to end right now, but of course it won't. Towards the final chicane for these two in the battle for third. Is anybody going to blink from here? These two are the most likely to inside the top 5, and there it is. John Mondelez makes his way in. Gets himself into the pit lane. All I see, and we'll go and see now how long the pit time will be. Obviously difficult to tell, difficult to count from here, but we'll just have to make our best guess. We can of course see that a driver may be on the jacks or not as Daniel Crimson comes in. Rival Scott TSRC does not, interestingly. So there's a difference between the top two and Am, and a very tentative entry to the pit lane there for Crimson. This is going on quite a while now for Van Vingden. Excuse me, not Van Vingden. Or John Mondelez. Does go. Gets away, gets underway. And it is 10th place for him right now. Crimson and Guillaume Hamlin both in the pit lane with him. Hamlin making another stop. I don't think it's to repair any more damage, but you never know. Shouldn't be anyway. I think he's been off the road again since that incident at this corner right here through the Schumacher S. Got TSRC still with a couple of drivers right in behind him. This has been the story of the recent last 10-20 minutes or so, really. Been very difficult for him to get away and to really have a breather in this race, really. Over those curbs and dealing with them a lot better than Brunier did earlier on in this race. Mav looking to the inside there, but not deciding to go for a move. Turn 1, the next chance, but unlikely that anything is going to be done about it here. Just stay behind. Wow, I'll say that. He went to the outside line, having broken very late there, and nearly went for the move in the end as well. But didn't end up doing it. Looking back now from Scott TSRC. Now on the entry to 4 there, which won't help his exit. And it's a bit of a slide, won't either, but Mav has not done good enough to stay close enough really here. Looking to stay at this distance really for these guys. Really looking to move any further forward just at this stage. Everybody's sort of waiting it out until the pit stops now. I even got the feeling that Guillaume Hamlin was going to do that had he stayed on the back of Schmuggy in the way that he was earlier on in the race. I think that was just going to continue further on. And it certainly is here. It certainly would when there's two different categories at play. Maybe Mav and Acton will just behave differently around each other, but now it's not looking likely. Approaching half distance in this race, approaching half distance in this pit stop window as well. And we've seen second place Derek Sun into the pit lane now as well in the Porsche. The sole Porsche in the field making its way down pit lane. From second place, looking to do something about Jamie Nuttall in the lead of this one. Finished down in 5th in the last one. Just came in behind Josh Millington. We met him earlier. So now going to try and find a bit of clean air himself to close in on the race leader. Mav stays close to Scott Tysers. He looks down the inside, but he won't decide to go for it either. Although he's confident and he's deep under brakes, so I get the feeling there's a chance here for Mav. There's certainly a chance. It's not only about making it that chance though and actually executing it, but it's also about whether you want to. Is it tactically sound to do it as well? As we go on board with the BMW now, we really get a sense of the strengths and weaknesses of these two cars as well. Mine's pretty similar out of the full curve there, but a bit of a better punch off, a bit of stronger traction for the Audi. Helpful on the run down towards the Dunlop Heaven. Are we about to see that again? Well, that's slightly up on the grass there, which is not helpful. The Audi does seem very strong on acceleration, very strong to get through the gears. Nice traction. It's normally particularly planted through medium speed corners like 11 and 12 that are just here. So couple those two together and it should be a very strong car through turn 12. So it wasn't quite as fast in the middle of the corner as I was expecting actually, but he does more than enough here. Does Tysers into the pit lane for Smoggy now as well. Briefly got up onto the podium places, but drops down again now. Oh dear me, all over the curve for Mav there, and he was taking a very tight line there because he wants to get into the pit lane as well. Oh, it's off the road and very nearly into the wall. I think Scott Tysers just about got away with that, but my goodness, it was close and it was a big miscalculation. He will have lost out on some time as a result of that. Quinten van der Vingerden may just have gained a place out of that. We'll wait and see through the next lap whether that's the case or not, but my goodness. That was exceptionally close. Gardner Mav makes his stop, so does Quinten van Vingerden, excuse me, we were just talking about him. Smoggy making his as well. Stop over. Exits the pit lane. Drops down to 8th. I think that was the 111 just going through. It was indeed. And then we've got Lombards in the Audi. Not really yet involved in the fight for now. It is indeed Lombards in the Audi. He's made a stop at the moment. That's why he's found himself one lap down. Smoggy going to look to retain that top 5, and with the demise ever so slightly of Guillaume Hamling in this race, it might well be possible for him. Certainly looking more positive than it was earlier. It was looking like a long race for him a little bit earlier. Just over 4 minutes to go here, and there's a couple of laps remaining until these drivers can, or will have to make their stop, otherwise they've broken the rules. Assetto can go back round for 2 more laps, but Bruniera decides not to. You can see Scott Tysers trying to immediately make up for lost time here. Now, does he make it into the pit lane this time? Will he even go for it? No, he doesn't go for it. Aston Martin making a pit stop. Does he get it slowed up in time? He does. It's a slightly precarious pit entry here, but they've all got to do it, and it's the same for everyone. The Acton makes his way in, and he may well be jumped by Tysers by the end of this. Let's see if he is. Gardner Mav, 10th place at the moment, just in behind Van Vingerden. He's got out in front of Crimson there. Now that is a big shock. Daniel Crimson has come out behind Quinten van Vingerden there. It must have been a longer stop for Crimson. Not entirely sure. I haven't got pit times up at the moment. Haven't got them to hand. But there must have been a change there between those guys in terms of what they took on. Were their tyres taken on by Crimson? And in this case, could pulse it to Van Bingeren in the Nissan, get back to the lead again because of Ticehurst's mishap at the pit entry there. That really would be a surprise. It's a pleasant one, maybe, for all fans of the Nissan. That in front of the 182 there, by the way. They're a good 30 seconds behind the rest of the field, so they're in a bit of a world of their own. This is the Ferrari of Guillaume Hamlin just in behind as well, the only Ferrari in the field. Applying that pressure to Grinzen, but shouldn't be looking to make a move really, because he's of course a different class, a different lap as well. So with 32 minutes to go, the final drivers making their way in, only 3 more to come in now. Jamie Nuttall and Oscar Sarastow have done so, and Scott Ticehurst does as well now. He's made his way in. This is not quite the final lap that the drivers can come into the pit lane. But if you accidentally miss it and there's only seconds remaining, then you're in real trouble. So Jamie Nuttall comes out the pit lane and will take the lead nicely. Sarastow and Ticehurst in the pit lane at the moment. Sarastow just on his way out now. Is he going to come out? Is the question. Well, it might well be. Well, yeah, where is it? 6th place. Drops down below Smoggy there, as expected. It's actually maybe a bigger gap than expected as well, but comfortable, I think, is the word there for the 284. As Scott Ticehurst now makes his way out of pit lane. Here he comes. So Acton and Van Bingeren are going to get through. What about Crinzen as well? Crinzen, well, they're all coming down the pit lane. As the Audi maybe stolen a march on all of them here. Inside line of the Nissan. Oh, he very nearly got on that white line as well. But it looks like the race winner from Carlami has retained the lead. Although the Nissan, with the warm tyres and up to temperature, up to speed, Van Bingeren tried to make his way through there immediately. He's trying to get through an Acton here. Of course, all these guys in a fight for position, and they're all legitimately in these fights. These are the legitimate positions on the road. And at the moment, it's Scott Ticehurst who somehow found his way into the lead. The Audi has shown itself to not be totally ideal here at this circuit. We've seen Ticehurst show himself to go straight off and very nearly straight into the pit wall on the entry to a pit lane, or an attempted entry to the pit lane. And now all of a sudden the tables have turned, he's leading. Not turned though in the favour of Daniel Crinzen, there's no doubt about that. Down in 11th now, 3rd place in Am. It's even lower down than the 2nd he got last week. Not ideal really in this situation. The advantage that Ticehurst has is so many pros around. Eventually there are 3 around, and there are 3 of them, I suppose, so this is what's making it so busy. Acton, Mav and Hamlin, despite the fact being a lap down, all in this camera shot here, and it's hampering any moves that want to be made on Scott Ticehurst. Acton is going to apply pressure himself, but there's only so much he can do, and if Ticehurst is able to keep that buffer from now to the end of the race, then there's only one way this race is going to go. He really does need to get on with it. Oh, straight down the inside for Acton, that's so close. Ticehurst very nearly turned straight in there and made contact. The two go side by side through turn 4. They very nearly make contact again. And now the Nissan is looking to follow through with the Audi here of Ticehurst. Outside line for Van Bingeren, who backs out of it. He must have seen a chance there. He must have known that was his opportunity. But unfortunately, it's fallen by the wayside. He's got to wait for Acton to get his act together once again. Great fight between these 5 now. Or 7th place. and I guess more importantly the AM lead as well. At the moment, Kyalami winner. Scott Ticehurst is leading. But this race is very much hanging in the balance. As for now, Wigan not quite able to stay as close to Acton as maybe he should have done there. Even came under a bit of pressure from the likes of Mav and Crimson. Into the final chicane, avoiding those curves, bit of a slalom job. Remarkably, we've only seen one car off the road as a result. Over the line, 27 minutes to go now. It's behind the leaders. Laps to go for them here. Close to 14, really. Just under 2 minutes worth of lap time, as you can see on the bottom right. It's roughly where we're running. In terms of these guys, we're running mostly in the high 56s, low 57s, whereas Nuttall set the fastest lap of the race last lap, and it was a 54.3. That's nearly 3 seconds faster than this group. It shows you both the pace of Jamie Nuttall at the front of this race right now, but also the fierceness with which they were fighting earlier. Although Crimson now has just lost a bit of time in the Lamborghini, he's nowhere to be seen. Mav looking to make his way through on Van Wingenden, not able to do it though. Hamlin might have even got him. Oh no, off the road for Mav! Ron the Mav off the road and slams into the wall at the Schumacher S. It was a big contact in the end and he will recover quite nicely. But he's lost a lot of time. He's lost a lot of ground, and that battle for 7 now filters out to a group of 4. Possibly more manageable one as well for Ticehurst, but all of these pro cars are his allies at this stage because they are kind of helping him to almost stop him getting challenged in this race in a weird way. Just seem to be reaching for something in the car there, and goes straight off at the chicane again. Wonder whether there's adjustments going on, 1 or 2 here or there. Well, that really does relinquish the pressure from Quinten Van Wingenden. The Dutchman now is able to fully focus his efforts on Acton in front now. Oh, was that Crimson way out wide in the background there? I've got the grass from the entry to turn 2. Somebody did. Oh no, it was just Ian Hamlin struggling with connection just ever so slightly. Hopefully he stays connected, because he is flying about a bit. Off the road for Samuel Lombards as well. Oh, he could be under pressure here from Hamlin actually. These two could be pretty close. They are. Although Hamlin... Oh, where is he? It's difficult to know as Lombards is off again. He's just trying to get out of the way. Oh my goodness me. Hamlin is having some severe problems in this race now. His connection must be really struggling as... Oh my word. Lombards very much finding himself on the racing line there. And it splits up this battle for 7th just a little bit more. Going to have to put in the work to try and catch in once again. Difficult to do so, of course, in a circuit like this, but then again, as we've seen so far throughout this race, nearly an hour in now, it's very, very hard to get anywhere in terms of overtakes. Very, very hard to do so. So is it likely we're going to see those changes anyway? Well, that is certainly up for debate here at this stage. Jamie Nuttall still out in the lead and still pushing as hard as ever. You can just see the difference in pace here for him compared with those in that battle for 7th we were watching, and it's yeah, very obvious the difference in pace here now. All too obvious as far as I'm concerned, as we go on board with Quinten van Bingeren. Having a bit of a listening to this Nissan at the moment, because it does have its unique sound. One of the very best things about GT3 racing, the variety you get and different sounds that you can get all in the same race as well. Very rare to see this car in a sprint series, really, where races never exceed 75 minutes. Maybe it would be slightly more common to see it in a one-off endurance race where you can be very solid and very steady with it, especially if you know the car well. But in a real sprint race where you've got to wring the neck like this, it's not often favourable, and that's, I think, writ large for us, with the fact that with Van Bingeren is the only Nissan in the field. That tells you all you need to know about the state of that car. It has been slowly reeling TSRC back in here now. Well, I thought this was over, but there may be something left in this story just yet. I thought TSRC was away, but not the case. Not the case at all, just yet. I guess another question is, are these guys going to be lapped before the end? It's a very distinct possibility that Nuttall is able to lap some more. He was able to only get to 12 cars on the lead lap last week, and at the moment we only have 11, so we're doing a bit better. Very interestingly, a big coincidence, but of course, but Gardner Mav was the final car on the lead lap 1 week ago, and he is right now once again. That's a bit of a weird coincidence for you. As Guillaume Hamlin once again comes into the pit lane. Not sure if there's more damage or if he's just fixing existing damage. Whether the answer is neither there. Just coming in for a pit stop. When you're so far down, you might as well put tyres on and try and get the fastest lap, I suppose. He would need a big improvement to get it, because he's 1.3 seconds away from Jamie Nuttall's best lap time of the race, a 54.0. We're getting right down towards low fuel, though. Maybe he, with new tyres, can do something. Maybe this is him bidding farewell in the race. We hope not, but could well be. All in the space of a lap here, Acton has really lost a lot of time to TSRC just in front. Really is a lot of time. Nearly 2 seconds on that one lap. That's just in the lap time, and that is remarkable, really. So Van Bingeren might have this chance to get up into 8th place, but it is looking slightly unlikely as we near the 1 hour mark into this one now. Go over midday in terms of in-game time, sim time, whatever you'd like to say. Our temperature just rising as we get towards the heat of the day now, 32 degrees out on the track, as opposed to the 30 that we started this race with. Of course, the actual drivers running around there at the moment will not be cooling the track exactly. It will probably be contributing to that just a little bit, but it is helping these conditions to be pretty good, as you can see in the top right. Maybe next week at Watkins Glen you'll be seeing a bit more rain. Or a bit of rain. We haven't had any yet this season. A very sunny race indeed at Carl Larby 1 week ago. although the temperatures weren't quite as high as they are right now, possibly because it was getting down towards 5:30 in the evening in Sim at the time, as we see Quentin van Wingerden now maybe making his mark. Outside line into the chicane is never going to work, so he's going to back out for the moment and then look up the inside into the final corner, is he? Well, if that was the plan, then it wasn't executed quite. So he will wait slightly further. Oh, slides and goes across the gravel indeed, and he'll have to wait longer again. There is certainly a risk versus reward now. Van Wingerden has got a great chance of holding on to second place here if he just runs in line with Acton. If he battles too hard and doesn't get through, Crimson has a good chance of also overtaking him. So there's a real risk in this, and the reward is very minimal getting through on a pro car. Very minimal. There's no points gained. Just get an overall place, which I guess is personal satisfaction, but that aside, there is almost no gain at all doing that. Crimson makes his way towards the hairpin. And he is starting to find his feet and go a little bit faster in the final moments of this race now. Looking to get that second place away. Only 6th place in the first race, by the way, so this could be a great result for him. Crimson was already 2nd in the first race, so this kind of position is nothing new to him. Although he was down in 15th in the previous race, despite all that. We go back up to a driver who we've seen so much of in the second half of this race, because Schmoggy is out on his own a little bit in this 5th position. He's bringing this one home from here on in. Be around 9 laps to go, including this one for the Mercedes, and indeed for everyone. As Jeremy Industrial continues to rip this race apart at the front of the field. On the circuit for 9th place, and it is a battle in AM as well. We have one for 2nd in Pro as well, between Sun and Brugnara, but for the moment that's still nearly 2 seconds. This one's a lot closer, and there's points on the line, important points on the line as well. If Crimson wants to stay very close to TSRC in the standings, then he really does need to make this move. Corner, either one driver or the other gains it or loses a real substantial heap of time. There's not a lot of consistency to this fight. Very much ebbing and flowing, yet to result in any meaningful on-track overtakes. Because Crimson has got a job on his hands, even getting around that Nissan. It's so big, it's a circuit, well, any circuit really, that chances are always limited, and it's famously fast in a straight line as well. Has been in the past. Certainly in real life. So that's not going to help Crimson's cause. Onto the straight. It looks like Acton has just been able to hold on to 8th place, and he should be able to for the rest of this now. These guys in danger of getting lapped at all? Well, they are still a good 45 seconds in front of Nuttall, so it should be fine. Although Derek Sun might not be fine in this 2nd place. Mattia Brugnara is closing in. He has shown some of the strongest pace so far this season. Not only in this race, but in the first as well. He gained a 10th last lap. He's going to gain a lot more with this lap. And he'll be right there very soon. Maybe we are going to get a grandstand finish between those two in the final minutes. 7 laps to go as they go over the line now. Plenty of time for Brunjara to close in as and when he wants, really. He's slower from Sun. Brunjara right on pace again, only half a tenth away from his best lap time of the day. Well, that might be surprising to a few of you. It's not uncommon. Very low on fuel, these guys, at this point, and the tyres really haven't been through too much of a beating just yet. I know we're over an hour in now, but this is nothing that they can't cope with. So they really will be coming into their own now. Brunjara is going to try and make this work. Get into second place. It's actually closer than the battle we were watching for Am's second place earlier. That's now grown to 1.7 seconds as this goes below it. But going into these final 10 minutes, we may well get this fight between these two. Has Derek Sun just been holding something back, holding something in reserve to be able to take this one to the line? It's impossible to tell at this point, but since we started looking at it, Brunjara has been struggling a bit more. Although it's always the way with the way we spectate these and commentate on them, of course, but the way it goes. Brunjara can't afford to wait around here. He's not got all the time in the world. Only just over 10 minutes as they go over the line. And this will be 6 laps to go for these drivers now. Should just nudge under 40 laps today. That was a completion of lap 33. We should get to the end of 39. This is the situation further behind. Much the same. Van Wingerden may have gotten slightly closer to the Aston Martin in front, but it's very minor. And Crimson has not really gotten closer to Van Wingerden. It's gone the other way, in fact. So it looks like the Nissan is going to be in second place. All, of course, behind Scott TSRC, who's going to extend his championship lead if things end as they are now. Both of the race winners from the first race look like they're going to convert into race wins for the second as well. TSRC's best lap as well, by the way, it's a 55.4. And nobody can better that in the AM category, so it's going to be 31 points for both of those drivers. Again, unless something goes drastically wrong for one of those two. He's got 5.5 seconds. It's nearly 6 seconds as TSRC over Van Wingerden. You can just see in camera here. Now a couple of gaps hover around a second. Brunjara gets closer to Sun as Gardner Mav comes into the pit lane. He's got quite a gap to Bertrand behind, so he should be okay even with this unscheduled pit stop. Quite some pressure from Brunjara now. And Chol Mondelez is coming under quite some pressure from Smoggy as well. I thought that this was especially was done. I didn't think the Mercedes would have any further part to play in the battles of this race, but it looks like that may well change a bit now. Not sure why Chol Mondelez is going quite so slowly towards the end of this race, but getting caught really quickly. And with 5 laps to go, it seems difficult to hold Smoggy back here from 4th place. Very, very close indeed. I would have thought about it there, but decided better of it. Now we go on board with the Mercedes. Runs out wide over the AstroTurf slightly. But gets things nicely hooked up through the rest of the Mercedes. We're not a great exit off turn 4, but we'll be able to close in again. Bruniera is at a very similar distance. That was very close into turn 6. Yes, Bruniera's at a very similar distance now. Here he is, possibly closer, arguably closer. The Audi. Both of them running out of time to make their move. Both of these guys, of course, a long way behind Jamie Nuttall at this point. Although they have both gained on that previous lap, quite substantially, by half a second. Gap is still 11.5 seconds. As we've got a drive-through penalty for the race leader in AM. Scott Tysers has got a drive-through penalty. I'm not sure what that exactly is for, but it's certainly going to drop him out of the lead of this class. Well, we said he was on his way to a victory if things didn't go wrong, but unfortunately they've gone wrong. And he is going to drop down the order. Up to third only in the standings, so it's not a complete disaster, but it's going to close everything right up, as this has done right now. Second place battle is on. A look to the inside from Bruniera, but he doesn't go for it. 4 laps to go, including this one. Some more opportunities for the Audi to try and make his way through. He's going to hope there are more opportunities for him anyway. Not many present themselves around this circuit. Hard to find a way through lap traffic. Will that play a role in this? That's Sean Lombards, it is indeed. Oh dear me. He'll try and make their way through, and in the end quite helpful with the Audi, but maybe only to the other Audi. Bruniera, oh, looking inside outside. The other Audi wants to get out of the way entirely. Looking to the outside into the hairpin. So close, maybe dipping back underneath into the corner. Not able to do it into the Dunlop hairpin. A very close moment between all of those drivers. As Lombards tried to get out of the way, he was driving down the grass. He didn't want to be involved in that one bit. As meanwhile behind, John Mondelez is held back. The Mercedes of Smoggy for the moment. Saristo maybe closing in on them as well. He is. 1.5 seconds. So these battles inside the top 5 all of a sudden have sprung to life in the final 10 minutes or so. 5 minutes and 3 laps to go as we speak right now. Nuttall just coming over the line. And it's now or never really for these drivers. By the way, has now dropped positions as a result of that drive-through penalty. Is down to third in the AM category. He will retain the championship lead, but he will take some damage to that championship lead, which stood at 7 points coming in. It will now be just the 4. Could be a great fight between Crimson and Tysers throughout the season. Well, short season as well, only 6 rounds, so it will probably remain close if we're lucky. That's exactly what we want to see, of course. For second. Not quite as raging as it was 1 lap ago, where all the action nearly happened down towards the Dunlop hairpin. There were looks from Bruniera, but no decisive move because he wasn't able to in the end. Behind, Smoggy trying to do that right now on John Mondelez. Oscar Saristo really having a late charge here. 54.9 from him on the last lap. It was actually faster than the race leader. And so he's closed in by nearly a second on the 2 in front. And he's right there. And so is Bruniera. There's drama in these 2 battles then as he tries to get the best exit possible off of turn 12. Around the outside through 13, gives you the inside for the chicanes. Oh, he's going to have to run out wide onto the AstroTurf there and maybe have a look here. Is he going to back out or is he going to send it here? He's going to back out. He remembers what happened, although he doesn't need to. He sends it over the corner to Derek Son and that will be it for him. He runs wide, the dirt will be on his tyres, and Bruniera's going to make his way through into second place. The Italian just forcing the mistake from the driver of the Porsche, and expertly negotiates that one to get up into second place. Great overtake from the Audi and a great recovery from the half spin that he had earlier on that dropped him down the field just a little bit. It's back up to second, which may have been his limit today anyway. Now you can see in there, someone there was just sliding about and struggling. But it seems to be this is going to be the focus for the final 2 laps. Assetto on the last one there did a 56.8, which was nearly 2 seconds slower than his one before that. So something went wrong on that previous lap, it seems. So any dreams of a top 5 may be evaporating now for the Finnish driver. Moggy though, looking to maybe make moves here. Maybe make an overtake. That is the idea on the penultimate lap for him. But his race was pretty much done after the pit stop phase. Battle with Guillaume. Hamlin was not going to go any further. Being it for excitement on his part, but got involved in another fight, and Lombards has managed to find himself involved in another fight here as well, much to his dismay I think, and he gets straight out of the way, straight off the road. You can hardly blame him. 1 minute to go, and 1 lap when they get to the line. Not long. It's now or never for Smoggy, and he's not really close enough at the moment. He's lost a bit of time through 11 and 12 there. So is that gap enough for Sean Mondelez to be able to take this one home from here now? Difficult to know. One lap to go. Final lap of this race. These guys have ended up nearly half a minute behind Jamie Nuttall by the end of this one. But that's not their primary focus at this moment. It is, of course, all about the fight on their hands right now. Close through the Mercedes arena. The last chance through here. The last time through here. So close to the back of Sean Mondelez at the moment. He once again, I saw this last lap, having a sneaky little sniff maybe of the inside of the forward curve there, but it's never really going to work. Better chance down here at the Dunlop hairpin. He's forced Sean Mondelez to go defensive. The Mercedes to the outside line, but once you've got the inside there, the rest really fixes itself. So Smoggy going to have to look for somewhere else to make that move. But in the final sector at the moment, way out in front of these guys, it's the Honda of Jamie Nuttall. He's in the final chicane right now, and he's going to go 2 for 2. It was a relatively dominant victory at Kyalami. 4.5 seconds at the end. It's going to be much more dominant this time. Jamie Nuttall wins at the Nürburgring. He takes another victory in the TSRC GT3 series, and he really takes control of this championship in its early stages. First 2 rounds go to Jamie Nuttall. Where's 4th place going to go? Oh, there's contact. Swung straight into the back of Sean Mondelez, and we might see Assetto get in front of both of these guys. They're free wide into the final corner. The Aston Martin goes over the curb. The BMW gets spun around. It's all a big mess at the very end. The Mercedes is able to get 4th place. Assetto realises his mistake and lets Sean Mondelez have that place once again. Fair play to the sportsmanship from the Finnish driver there. It all got very, very hectic and very messy down there in the final few corners. A great ending to that race, although maybe not for some. Sean Mondelez will feel that he was hard done by there and lost that 4th place, maybe unfairly. Of course, it will be settled afterwards. I'm pretty sure that's his best result of the season so far. It is still with a 5th place, because he was 6th 1 week ago. Acton 7th here today, and Certainly his best result of the season so far. Van Bingeren, though, is the AM winner here at the Nürburgring. A much better performance than what we saw from him in Kyalami, where he was outside the top 20 overall. Brunson with a second place of the season. Second in 2 weeks as well. Scott Tyser's late drive-through penalty eventually put an end to his stretch in the lead of that race. That was a big shame for him, as you see the final driver come across the line. We will run across your results before we leave you for this evening. It's Jamie Nutter who wins by 16.7 seconds ahead of Brunjara and Sornbratling right to the line. Schmoggy in the end in that battle we watched got that 4th place ahead of Chomandale and Sarasto. Acton held off AM winner Quinton van Vingeren with Daniel Crimson and Scott Tyshurst rounding out the top 10. Mav with that late pit stop with the first car 1 lap down. Verta 12 ahead of Lombards. Kuhn of those who end up finishing that race, and Hamling and Millington will not end up being classified from that one, I'm afraid. So that is it for them, I'm afraid. No points on this occasion for them. Well, that is just about going to do it here for us here this evening. It's been a pleasure once again to be here. It's been a great race indeed as well here at the Nürburgring. But that just about does it for us for now. Make sure you stick around and make sure you follow the channel as well here on Twitch, because you will be notified when we next go live, and that will of course be for the next race in the TSRC GT3 series. It's Watkins Glen. It's another 75-minute race coming up in 1 week's time. So make sure you join us for that. Zach Sweeney will be back with you for that one. But for now, it's time for us to bid our farewells. I've been Ian O'Leary. I hope you've enjoyed the show here this evening. And from all of us here at the Nürburgring, it's goodbye for now.